Hey, welcome to our next episode of the Real Estate Social Rockstar. I am super excited to have an awesome guest. I'm going to introduce her as the Queen of Content, the Queen of Content Master. I got Chelsea Peitz here on the line. Hey, Chelsea.
Hey, how are you? Thank you so much for having me on your amazing show.
I am super excited to have you on this show. And I have been excited all day for this and a little jittery right now because you give out such good energy and vibes. And I'm just stoked.
All right, I'm ready. Let's have some high energy. We're talking about high energy content. We might as well have high energy while we're talking. I love it.
Fantastic. So I'll give everybody quickly, just so you know what this show is going to be about, okay? So the reason I brought Chelsea onto this show is because Chelsea produces a lot of really great talent, a lot of great content that she's going to be talking about. And the title of this show is Creating Social Content. It's Not That Hard. So I'm going to ask Chelsea, how is it not that hard? Because she does such a good job and does so much of it. But before we begin, Chelsea, can you give a quick introduction in terms of who you are to the audience, to the people watching and listening to this?
Absolutely. Okay. So my background is in real estate. I've been a licensed real estate agent for over 15 years. And like a lot of people who lived where I lived the real Big Short. And when short sales and distressed properties came around, I ended up getting out of the real estate business day to day and going into the real estate marketing business for a title company. So I still get to work in this awesome industry every single day. So yes, your question, content. A lot of people ask why, how are you creating content all the time? And let me tell you, everybody who's watching, I didn't start off very good. It's a lot of practice. And the more you do it, the easier it becomes, the more ideas you have, but there is a system to it.
Well, can I ask you a question? I mean, you're really good at this, but like, I know a lot of people, they ask me this all the time. So I want to ask this to you. You know, why does a real estate agent need to include like a content marketing plan in their business? Because I know you got a plan. So why does somebody need to include a content marketing plan? And, can't they just grow their business off of like traditional referrals and from their database and, but just buy leads online? Tell me why they need to do this.
Okay, so first let me start off by saying those traditional methods of marketing absolutely do work. Referrals are amazing. Content marketing is more of a mindset to think about how can you provide something that Google cannot. Because we're in a tech world where everything is online. And when I was in real estate 15 years ago, nobody got to see house information unless I gave it to them. And we all know that is not how it works in most of the world right now. So we need to come up with a way that you can create something of value, which is your content that not only helps you build your brand, it makes you become the resource. And then with that resource, you can capture leads and then connect with those people. So that in a nutshell, in the technology age we're in, is why people need to start getting focused on content and storytelling.
Gotcha. But I get all that, but how does that make someone money?
Got it. So a lot of people who talk about content are like, okay, so I'm going to make an awesome blog post. I'm going to do a great checklist. And then I'm going to throw it up on my website or my blog or social. And then everybody's going to call me up and want to do business with me, right? But that doesn't happen. So
you don't get like 500 calls a second that you put up a post of your coffee in the morning saying start your day.
I wish that I did. I wish that I did. But the challenge with, that's like one of the biggest myths about content marketing. Content marketing is a lot of creating content, sharing it, creating, sharing. And then what you're doing is you are giving people who interact with that content, like your content every day on Snapchat and Facebook, they're starting to learn who you are, who your brand is. And every time I watch your content, Michael, I get a good feeling about who you are. And obviously I know you, and Michael's an awesome guy, but I'm having a positive brand experience with you. So if I'm ready and I've seen you enough and you've been a resource, when I am ready to do something or buy or sell, I'm going to call you because I've already had a memory or experience of your brand through your content.
Gotcha. So you're telling people that they should be going out there putting content because that's going to be the easiest way or the most effective way for their audience to get to know them, to build a relationship essentially, right?
Yes, and content in the form of video content, Snapchat videos, pictures on Facebook. It really runs the whole gamut of creating content. Taking a snap on Snapchat or posting on Instagram on your wall, that's content. So it is a multi-channel, multi-format plan that you have to have in place.
Yeah. Well, and actually, yeah, I have a personal thought on that, but also a question for you. So yeah, obviously, I mean, listen, I before the show as well, I know content is super, super important. And I'd love more people, more agents out there to realize how important it is, like you and I do. But hopefully by now they realize it's important, right? And now that they realize that it's important, for those people out there who say, I'm not a good writer, and, I'm not sure how to do this consistently, and, it sounds like repetition. What kind of advice can you give them for, how to go about doing this?
Okay. So I tell everybody that you've got to start somewhere. And what I like to teach people to do to get inspiration, you don't have to be a great writer, which is the beauty of 2017. People want the real you. They don't want some professionally written, like sounding type of blog or video. They want you to talk like we're talking right now, like we're having a conversation, because you want to have a conversation with that person. So you want to write like you speak in a lot of scenarios. And I recommend reading, even if it's one article a day. Get on a blog, watch videos, and jot down ideas that strike you as something you would want to learn about and talk about. Obviously, challenges that your clients are having, issues with getting appraisals, solving those problems is a great way to come up with content and what you did in those scenarios. Your area, your neighborhood. I mean, I love watching you walk the streets of New York. I don't have that here. And it's incredible. I mean, you've got a beautiful, amazing, vibrant city that you could write about endlessly for. Mm-hmm. So you're lucky, but all those people who are in like a farm town with nothing, there's still things you could write about.
Yeah, no, I'm sure there's lots of things you could write about. It's interesting because obviously I follow you on Snapchat and I follow you on Facebook, and, try to follow you anywhere where you're dropping wisdom. And I know that, first of all, there's a lot of podcasts that I listen to now because you've put on Snapchat, hey, I'm listening to this podcast, and they end up being, really, really great things that I've really learned a lot from. And I know that you're really into reading as well. You read like a certain number of books. You have some kind of goals with your reading. What's that?
Yes. So I read one book a week. And I am guilty of reading multiple books at the same time, but I'm that is where I have gotten so much more creative. There's something for me that when I'm reading, it starts some ideas going. I encourage everybody else to try it. I believe it will work for you. And podcasting, I've got a long commute, but I also listen to podcasts when I'm getting ready in the morning. So I'm a mom. I've got a busy toddler. I work full time. When people say to me, I don't have time to make content, I look at you and I'm like, you do a show in 1 minute, 6 snaps or less. And I'm like, you can't tell me you don't have 60 seconds a day. And I've seen some of your awesome videos where you're on the fly. I mean, everybody has a video camera. It's called your smartphone, and everybody has a Facebook app. So there's no way that you cannot make content on the fly. Your video where you were going to rush to a client was brilliant.
Thank you. Why don't we throw that out there just to give people an idea of what it means to make content on the fly? Let's put up that video.
Good morning, everyone. So every day I like to do a little video message for my agents at Meier Real Estate. We have a private group, and I was about to do it, and I thought, you know what, this is a message I might as well share with everyone. This message is about the hustle. The message is about this morning. This message is about how I was a tornado.
So let me tell you a little bit of background to that video. Chelsea, thanks for bringing it up. So that was a situation where I woke up in the morning. I had a call scheduled with some guy that I thought was overseas, and the guy ends up agreeing to meet with me. And I was like, not dressed, and I stormed out. And I went to meet with this guy, right? And the crazy thing about it was I went to go meet with him. It was like a long shot that something would happen there, but I take a lot of long shots, I take more long shots than anything. And I went to go meet with him, and then I put up that video because I was feeling really passionate about the fact that I didn't know if that meeting was going to go anywhere. This was after I met with the guy. I didn't know if the guy was going to hire me to sell his property. I didn't know what was going to be the results of running out to meet with the guy who was looking to sell his apartment, who didn't even really want to meet with me, like just wanted to talk on the phone, didn't even tell me he was in town till we're on the phone, right? But I jumped out and I started thinking to myself, a lot of agents, I hear a lot of times that they have really genuine, valid reasons, and to be honest with you, I'll go honest here, excuses for like, oh, I wasn't ready to go meet with them. I didn't have my paperwork. I didn't have my paperwork. I didn't have my bag. I was dressed in like a pair of shorts. My daughter and kid I'm feeding. It's crazy time. But I took the long shot. I jumped and I ran and I thought, you know what? This just happened. My heartbeat was up. I jumped in a cab after the meeting and I said, this is an opportunity to share with other people in a moment of passion, of stress. It was stress, I jumped out. I didn't think I was going to even make it to the guy. I told him I was 10 minutes away. I was like 40 minutes away, But I jumped in and I thought it'd be a good opportunity to share that with that guy. And it's funny because now you bring that up as content, right? Mm-hmm. I wasn't thinking content, plan. I was thinking I had an opportunity, and now Facebook has given me this awesome ability to share my experiences. So I'm not lonely alone in a cab anymore. I'm now talking to people who are, writing and responding to me. And all of a sudden now that's content. And the crazy thing was there's no script there. There's just camera on, boom, hi, let's talk. So the thing I wanted to, you look at that and there were like 83 likes on that. And they were like, it ended up being pages and pages of comments and engagement and talking. And that for me ended up being like content, but it didn't take me any time. I just turned on the phone. I was in a cab. I had to get to my office. So.
Well, and you know what I love that you said about this particular video, that you didn't even think about it as content, but what happened was that you were sharing an experience. And that's exactly where we're at in a 2017 world. It's all about sharing experiences. And like I always say on my show, faces take you places. People want to see your face and have a connection. It's not about perfection. It's about connection. It's about getting on and doing it. And what I love about your non-content content that you made there was that it sends a message to potential people who haven't hired you yet, because we all know they will, that you're going to get in a cab and you're going to drive to meet them, even when you're not prepared. And here's another thing, you can take that video that you made on the fly and turn that into an ad on Facebook. So you've just made multiple pieces of content with that one little video that you did on the fly. You can write a blog post about the great responses you got, the pages and pages of comments that you got. You can turn that into an ad. You can turn it into a boosted post. You can turn it into a how-to if you're training other people in your brokerage. So it's just the idea of taking one piece of content and then thinking about different ways that you can, pull those out and use it in different areas. So I always say, reduce, recycle, reuse, reduce it, one big piece of good content, recycle it in different ways and reuse it out.
Yeah. I think it's important for people to realize, because I ended up getting that listing, right? And they hired me afterwards. I didn't know at the time that they were going to hire me. I actually didn't think that they were going to hire me when I was in that cab. And for a second, I remember thinking to myself, should I really go out there telling people to do the hustle when if they ask me, I'm probably not going to get this listing? And it was a moment of I thought to myself for 3 seconds. And usually when I question myself, I generally just go do it. It usually works out when I question myself, better than when I don't question myself. And so people that are now watching this, if I were to give this as a case study of content, they would say, oh yeah, of course it was great content, because you ended up getting this big expensive listing. And how would it have been like if you didn't get the listing? And the reality is it wouldn't have been any different. If I didn't just mention I got the listing, still would have been great content. Don't overthink things. People overthink things. They want to have this whole content plan how's their content going to grow in the next 3 months, 6 months, 2 years, 5 years? How are they going to become the next Gary Vee? I mean, give it a crap. I made a video. I was in a cab. I turned it on. You put it on. You go. So, yeah. I think everyone throughout the day, if they think about if they had any challenges throughout their day, I don't care if it's real estate challenges, any challenges like your kid was going crazy. I got a daughter. Sometimes she's got personality. I love her to death. She's awesome, but she's loud sometimes. And it can be stressful sometimes. I can turn that stressful situation into a lesson. How do you deal with stress? How did I deal with stress? Yada, yada, yada. So I think life is content.
I agree. I think that's the quote of this entire show. Life is content. You are the content now, and that's what's important. And the best thing is we already are ourselves. I think people are really afraid of how they look on camera and how they sound on camera and not having a filter and being funny and weird.
Also, not everyone looks as great as you.
Well, thank you. I do happen to look better though with these.
Oh,
Which I
boom.
like to make content in my Meier shades. So yes, but no, it really is. And the best thing to do, like you said, is to not think about it. It's just do it. Do it and then get better. And if it's like Forrest Gump, he never overthought stuff. He just went for a run one day, got up and went running, right? So sometimes you can't overthink it, or we're just going to think, oh, no, they're not going to watch it, or they're going to think I look silly, or God, I look terrible. Who cares? You know, you've got to force yourself to do it.
So I have an idea to share and a question for you. And the question I'm going to ask for you is actually a piece of advice for my business and my content sharing. And I was going to ask you before the show, but I figured why not ask you on the show? Because I like to keep it real on the show and, just kind of go. So first of all, piece of advice for agents. So I had 5 agents that started in my company today, right? And we were literally just all went out together to go play some disco ping pong. You know, it was their first day. I wanted to take off for an hour and have a little bit of fun and decompress from all the information they learned. And I was talking to them about what they could be doing. It's their first week in the business, right? So they don't have any background in real estate, these particular people. They don't have any background. And I said, that's freaking fantastic. How many people have a first week? Mm-hmm. Very few. Every building you go into, every apartment you go into is going to be like, wow. And guess what? All the people watching your videos, they're going to think it's wow also, because they don't see apartments every day. So but if you go do this in 3 months from now to show that same apartment, still, of course, you could do it great. But now it's going to be wow. You're going to ooze with wow because you're going to be impressed. So I think that no matter where you are, if you're a new agent or you're an agent for 20 years, but this is your first time doing video, your uncomfort level with video is going to get you those, tons of likes and hearts, because my best videos are when I look like crap and I'm sweating and dripping and sharing a passionate moment. And you know what? If you even said on video, guys, this is the first time I'm doing this, but this building is so ridiculously fantastic that I didn't want to not share it with you. So pardon me, but check this out. I guarantee you're going to get a shitload of people liking that.
Yeah.
So, and then like you were saying, so now let's talk about how they take that. This is a question to you. How do they take that little video that, I don't know, we just came up with that idea. How do you now take that and repurpose that one little video tour of walking into a building and showing a cool lobby? Let's throw out a repurposing plan for this.
Okay. So when you've got that one video, so you have this beautiful apartment you want to show, it's your first week experience. Maybe you've taken a few pictures on Snap or pictures on Facebook of your week in the first, time you've ever done real estate. I would tell that story. For me, I start with writing it all down. I use a mind map, which after I'm finished, we can kind of show how my mind map works. But what I do is I write it down. I write all the story down as if I've got a beginning, a middle, and an end. Once upon a time, here's what happened, and they lived happily ever after, right? And then what you want to do is, once you've got that story, are there key quotes from it? I mean, like, whoa, first time in this whatever building, I'm floored, or whatever. You could make those quotes using a great system, free. It's called canva.com. You can make a great image for Facebook, or you can make an image for Instagram. You can show different pictures. You can make a photo album on Facebook. You can then make an ad of your video on Facebook ad. You can boost that ad. You can create a blog post. You can also talk about a how to survive your first week in real estate. And I'm going to sit down Monday. I'm going to tell you one thing I learned, and you can make a whole series. So that's how you take one idea and kind of break it up into a lot of different small ideas, so you don't have to constantly think of new stuff to talk about.
So I'm gonna, you just shared a lot. So I'm sure people are gonna have to re-listen to this audio or gonna have to replay this video multiple times, which is like the point. So I love, one of the reasons I was really excited to have you on the show, and everyone that I'm choosing to have on the show, like we discussed, the really only requirement to be on this show is to share actionable, specific things that people can do to grow their business, real estate agents. So you shared a lot. I'm going to tell you what registered with me, just a few of them. You said you take that first video where that's you walking into an apartment. Maybe that's almost the culmination of your story, right? And your story is your first day. Like for any of the agents that started today in my company, we'd be great if they took one shot from today, or we probably have when we took a photo together, is their first day. And then maybe studying, and then maybe going to an apartment, and then maybe them, talking about how, they're learning, just telling their life story for that first week. And I can tell you, I am in the real estate business, so I know a lot of these first stories. And even I don't care where an agent would be anywhere in the country. If they created a little Facebook album with a couple of pictures and a couple of videos, my first week in real estate, please, if any of you are watching the show and do this, tag me, let me know about it. I would really, really love to see it. That's good TV right there, right? That'd be fantastic. So you threw a lot of different things that they can do, snippets using Canva, all so on and so forth. But even just a few of those things, if they did just a few of those things, you just came up with a blockbuster idea for new agent content. Thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome. Anytime I can help. So hit me up anytime on Facebook or Snap. Michael and I are all about sharing ideas, creating, and that's what it's all about. We all want to connect with people and help them, and we're super positive people.
Chelsea, how do people connect with you? What's the best way?
You can follow me on Snapchat, and it's chelsea.peitz. They can also find me on Instagram. It's cpeitz. And then Facebook is my name as well. So chelsea.s.peitz. And we can probably put that in the comments. But I do a daily Snap show and a daily Gram Slam on Instagram stories. So that's where I drop most of my information.
That is awesome. As I'm talking to you now, somebody wrote a comment over here, Mark Davis. He wrote a comment here where I saw this also. Gary Vee said something the other day. He was talking about social content creation. And he said, document, don't create. And the funny thing is, I saw this on the fly and I didn't understand exactly what he meant until now Mark puts this quote over there. And now I understand. Document, don't create, meaning document your life. People want to know your life. You don't need to create a fictitious life. Your life's fucking awesome right now, the way it is. Go share it. 10 years ago, you couldn't share it like you can today. So, it's all new. So that's pretty cool stuff. So a couple of things. First of all, even with creating content. Oh, I wanted to ask you this question for my business. Okay, I'm being a little selfish over here, and hopefully everybody can learn a little from this. So let me tell you what I've done. All right, what I've done recently is I do my Snapucation, my daily snaps, where I give real estate education in 6 snaps or less on Snapchat. And then I decided to create a whole bunch of 1-minute videos, educational real estate videos that I'm going to be putting on Facebook. I already started one, how to build your contact list. I have I have all that. Now, so for everyone knows from a repurposing perspective, I took my education that I do in-house and I repurposed it by making short little videos. Now the thing is this, I'm at a point where I have this show with you, with awesome people like you once a week. I go to the real estate school where I teach people how to use social media, and I put that on Facebook Live at Michael Meier NYC. So that's already 2 videos going on, right? And now I got these 1-minute videos as well. And I'm wondering, I'd love your thoughts on this. Is it too much? Like I'm putting up these 1-minute videos, it's going to be like every day a video. It might only be a minute. And on Snapchat, I do a minute. But is that too much for Facebook? Should I maybe only sponsor them? I'm just curious what you think about that.
That's a good question. I get that question a lot. Like, I feel like, am I overdoing it? Am I sending too many messages or posting too many messages? Like, what is the right amount of content? And something that one of my idols, of course, Gary Vee, says, You can never post enough content as long as it is valuable and interesting. So, you know, when people are like, well, I'm posting all these links to all these blogs, like, I feel like that's interesting. Well, are people commenting? Are they sharing? Are they engaging? If not, then maybe it isn't that interesting. You've got to remember, like, what would you want to see? So for me, I love education. So I can't get enough. I'll watch all their posts, all their videos, if they are teaching me something that I find valuable. So, you know, it's a fine balance, but I personally find your videos entertaining. Number one, you have a personality, and number two, I learned something. So I don't think that's too much content. I mean, I think if I'm just posting links to articles all day and I'm not really engaging with other people, which is another important thing about content, is once you post it, you need to be engaging with people. Then yes, you can post too much content. You can fill up somebody's feed. I mean, if it's all like rants or negativity, people don't want to see that. And they don't want to see 500 pictures of your listings, the same front of a house with a sign in the yard. That is not content that is engaging. So that is probably the hardest part about content, and you'll learn that as you do it, is figuring out what people want to read, see, interface with, and watch.
Somebody taught me something early on, and I didn't realize how powerful it was. Maybe I didn't realize it until now, actually. So blowing my own mind right here a little bit. So when I started on Snapchat, I was doing lots of different things. I was on it all day, and I was shooting every little thing about everything in my life, and I was, you know, just learning how to use Snapchat at the beginning. And I didn't have my Snapucation show, and it was just very random. There's no structure at all, right? And I was talking to someone who happens to be a pretty high-level guy who like you know, consults with some top professional speakers, and you know, is well connected in this development space. And I was telling him about what I'm doing, and I said, you know, do you think what I'm doing is good or is bad? And he says to me, well, are people commenting? Are people responding? And I was like, well, you know, when I'm doing these educational things and I'm teaching them things, I always get people asking me questions. But when I'm doing all this other stuff, like, hey, I'm just walking around or whatever, I don't get anyone to comment. And so all he said to me, asked me that one question was, are people responding? And then he said, well, then I think the jury decided, right? And I was like, I guess so. And then I just decided to focus on my Snapucation, made it into a program, did it every day, put it on a schedule, all because he simply said, the jury's decided. So when you guys might now, when I'm thinking about it, what you're saying, when you go out there, you know, the first few times you're out there, don't worry about the jury. The jury needs to get to know you, right? Your first one might suck. Who cares? Your third one would be better. Your fourth one would be better. And after you've done a few of them, then start paying more attention to what people are saying and liking. And it's simply like, I was talking to agents today about posting listings, and I was telling them that they have to get better at advertising listings. And I said, if they put 5 listings up, don't come to me and ask me how my listings are, because you only put 5 up. I have no idea if they're good, if they're bad. Put up 100. And then I can say you did 100. Let's look at all of them. And I feel the same way about, you know, how it worked with me. If you watch my original Snapucation stuff, where I learned to use video much better, which everybody should use as a good way to learn video, you know, it's different than now. And that's because the jury decided. So thank you, Chelsea. That was you cemented, you know, something that another wise person like yourself had shared with me.
Well, you know, you make a really good point with what you just said too. I think 2 things important in relating to content is, number one, practice makes progress. I mean, we're not looking for perfection, but you've got to keep practicing and doing. And you learned by doing it and getting better and, you know, trying different things. And that's what I do. That's what everybody who starts in content does. And I think also the other important thing that you mentioned is that you started scheduling it. You started coming up with a plan. You started coming up, I don't know if you just write it down in a notebook or use a spreadsheet or use like an actual content calendar. But I think those can be really useful tools. And I think we have a content calendar that people can download from our friend Katie Lance, which we're good friends with, another Inman friend of ours. So here is Katie's content calendar. And if you guys want to download that, I believe you can see that right there. Download Katie Lance /content grid. So this will give you some good ideas too, just to come up with if you're just starting. She puts a lot of good information to kind of get you thinking. So check it out and hopefully this will help you. But for me, I have to have something that I'm keeping a schedule on so that I know what I'm going to be talking about so I can be prepared.
Yeah. So a couple of things, first of all, Chelsea, you are like mega super prepared, and you're very organized. Your thinking is very organized and very structured and all that kind of stuff. And that's fantastic. It's one of the reasons I love watching your show that you do, and everybody should be following you on Facebook and watching you on Snapchat because you deliver so much really great, structured, organized, non-fluff content, but you have such a great smile that the energy is fun too. But what I would say to people is, if you're super organized and structured like Chelsea, just say thank you. Okay, you're very lucky to be like that. But not everybody's like that, right? Especially in the real estate industry, right? You got a lot of real estate agents out there who are not the most organized at things, right? And what I would say to them is sometimes you just need to keep it simple. And to keep it simple, I'll give you an example of keeping it simple. So first of all, you need to look for people like Katie Lance, who created this phenomenal spreadsheet, which you guys should go and download, every single one of you, because she's doing that organization work for you. You just need to plug and play what you do, okay? And second of all, for me, I'm getting better and better at getting more and more organized at it as time goes on. But at the beginning, when it came to Snappication, I simply went into a Word document and wrote down all the different topics in a row. I didn't even put all the bullet points. I just wrote down thoughts, topics. And on my phone, every time I was out there in the field and an agent asked me a question, I wrote it in my phone. And I ended up with a very long list of questions that real estate agents ask me. And if you are a real estate agent, you should be doing the same thing, but you should be doing it to the consumer, right? Because real estate agents are my client. You are the people I want to educate. You are the people I want to raise the bar in. If you're in New York City, you might be the type of agent I want to recruit into my company and work really closely and have fun with you. So I want to develop really good relationships with you. You want to develop really good relationships with buyers, sellers, and renters. So think about any question that a buyer, seller, or renter has ever asked you. And if you don't come up with questions right away, ask your friends if they have any questions about real estate. Ask your friends if they were going to buy or sell or rent right now, what would be their questions? Go to mortgage brokers. Ask mortgage brokers, what are questions that they get asked by buyers? Because usually buyers sometimes ask the mortgage broker questions, and some of those questions they should be asking their agent. And make a list of all those questions and just stick them in a Word document, and then just start making a few little bullet points and answer your question in bullet points. That'll be snaps. And that's it. Just have a Word document. Now, I think if you take the Katie Lance organized way, that's really the way to go, right? Of course, that's the best way to go. But if you want to start really, really small and not get a headache and do not get paralyzed, just go and do it. Because all the people that I like to talk to are people that are like, go do it versus get paralyzed. Go stick it in a sheet, start doing it every day. Talk about one of your questions, one of your answers, and you will find out that people will comment and respond, and they will be the ones that give you your next topic. You won't have to come up with them anymore. People will ask you questions. So, that's just a little piece of advice for agents that I would share with them.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think we actually have a picture of one of my mind maps that I use too.
Fantastic.
Throw that up there, that would be good. And then I can kind of talk about it. But, the funny thing is that I am very, very, very high tech kind of person. But when it comes to my content, I got to get it on paper, and that helps me be more creative. And you can see this is just simple. I've just got a white piece of computer paper, and I just start kind of drawing out the story. So there really isn't an excuse. Like you said, writing notes in your phone and creating, even on Post-its. Sometimes I've just written ideas on Post-its. You just got to keep everything. And the funny thing is I keep every single one of these, and I just put it in a folder, and that's it. That's my super high tech way of creating content.
Well, it's a piece of artwork in the first place, to be honest, and it's really it's really cool because it shows people kind of how your mind works, and this is something that that anybody could do. You know, it just takes starting. And the person that starts, I'm looking over here at your mind map. And for those of you who are listening to this and aren't seeing this, what we're looking at, why don't you, Chelsea, can you tell us what we're looking at right here?
Yeah, sure. So I basically, sometimes I start at the beginning, sometimes I just start and then fill in, the beginning and the end. But in my mind, I kind of start with the concept of where I want to go. So you'll see on the screen kind of at the top, you'll see the word change. And I kind of talk about just, anything that comes to mind about change of where we're at, technology, internet, pre-shopping, Uber, Airbnb, all of these random streams of consciousness types of things. And then I move through it. You'll see where I kind of show that we're moving through. I put, you are now a media company. What does that mean? I may throw down questions that may come up from that. And then I kind of lead in.
Can I just stop you for 1 second? Because this may have been your intention or not, but like the last line that you just said, that you are now a media company. So I don't know if you did this on purpose or not, but I heard Gary Vaynerchuk say that at Inman. That's what he said. He said, you are now a media company. And regardless of whether, that's where it came from or not, if I were you making this up, for me, it would have come from Gary, because that's where, I would have heard that. And that's repurposing someone else's content. And there's nothing wrong with repurposing someone else's content. You're structuring it in your way, but this makes me think about the fact that you read a book a day. So now, I'm thinking, how does Chelsea come up with all this great content? Well, Chelsea's learning all the time.
Right.
And if you're not learning, I don't know what you're doing. You should
exactly.
But sorry, I just wanted to.
No, that's perfect. You're right. That is Gary V. And then when you're done with that mind map, like exactly like you said, I go back and I think, okay, I heard that from Gary V. Let me talk about Gary V. Who is he? What are the books? Could I do a book review? Can I share his website? That's what I'm talking about, taking one idea and building off of it. So maybe I might look back at my mind map and say, I talked about Gary V at Inman and talking about becoming a media company. Let me talk about Gary V next week and some of the things that I've learned from him. And I do Thought Leader Thursdays. Maybe he'll be my Thought Leader Thursday this week. So that's where you go back through your content. At the end of the month, pull out your mind maps or whatever you're using and recycle all that stuff and get inspired by ideas that you forgot you even had. And you're like, wow, that sounded pretty good.
Yeah. So I was watching a video and reading a post from the man, Gary Vaynerchuk, and he was talking about content creation. He was, what I like about him is he just speaks the truth. He doesn't really care about how it's going to affect people's opinion on him. And I love people that do that. And he was saying, I'll be honest with you guys, I have a lot of staff that helps me do all this stuff with my content, and I have a writer, and I have this, and I have that, and I have all that kind of stuff. But for 8 years, I didn't have that. For 8 years, I went on and just talked to people without having 1 million followers and without having all the money to do all this kind of stuff. And I did it on my own. He goes, but you go out there and you talk, and then you just watch what you spoke about, and you think about what did people like the most about what you spoke about. And there's a few comments that we've had in this, in this interview right here, this talk right here, that people are already commenting online about. But those in themselves could be branches of a whole nother topic. So you don't have to go out crazy. You don't have to tomorrow have to have a Tech Tuesday. You don't tomorrow have to have a Thought Leader Thursday, whatever it is. You'll get there, that would be fantastic to get there. Chelsea's rocking it. You should study her like mad, but don't not do it because you can't come up with 5 different topics for 5 different days. You don't need 5 topics for 5 different days. You could just be, I answer common questions that buyer and sellers have. That's all. You just go every day or twice a week, answer one question that buyers have, do it in a nice place in the background so that if somebody is watching, at least, when people are watching you, you're broadcasting, you should be doing a favor to people. You want them to watch you. When I try to do things and, my videos out there, I try to have a nice background. I try to do it where there's, a nice scene and so on and so forth. So just pick a nice location. I don't care if you're in a farm, do it in front of a stack of hay. That'd be pretty cool to have behind you. So, I want people just not to be scared by the amount the potential is great. Don't be scared by the potential. Think small. Think small. What are some things that I can do next week? How about this? Forget everything we've said. Next week, 3 topics, 1 minute each. Turn on your phone. Go do it. 3 topics. Let me and Chelsea know about it. We'll give you feedback on your 3 things that you've done. That's it. Pick 3. That's all you need to do. If they pick 3, you think and we comment on it, you think the next week they'll probably do 3 as well?
Oh yeah, for sure. Absolutely. I do love your idea of going out on a farm with a cow. If I could stand in front of a cow and do my video, like people would watch that. You're like, and today here's the chickens.
I would love that.
Like, that's awesome. If you're on a farm, you got content gold right there. I love that. But
I get a moo going on in the background. Damn, that's gonna go viral.
Yes, exactly. But I think you're totally right. I mean, I think just the easy way to sum up content is, just do it. Number 1, be real, be you, know your core message, like know who you are and what you want to talk about. And once you figure that out, like you just said, you just came up with a core message right here and didn't even know it. You're like, I answer questions that buyers and sellers have about buying a house or selling a house. That's a core message. And once you have that, it makes everything else easy. You know exactly what you want to talk about because you're clear on your message. You know exactly what kind of people you want to see it, who you want referrals from. So that's probably the hardest part, is coming up with that. And then just doing something every single day to get yourself comfortable with creating content.
Fantastic. So Chelsea, before we wrap this up, because I think that you've really shared, and I think we've really discussed some things that people should replay this and just really grab some good stuff over here. I know that there's also some really good tools that you recommend that people use. Do you mind just quickly throwing out some of those tools? And once again, guys, you don't need to jump on all these tools right away. But if you're at that level where maybe you're already creating content and you want to go to the next level, we also want to share this, for those mid players.
Okay, so I'm going to give you a couple of apps that I like to use to create visual content. One we mentioned already, canva.com. There's actually a new app they have as well. It's just the Canva app. You can get it in your app store. It's free. So I love that for creating visual content. There's also an app that we discovered at Inman called Legend, and I love it. It's awesome. It makes like a little animated somewhat of a video out of a quote. Maybe you have a beautiful picture of a house or an apartment that you're looking at, and you can really kind of make that capture the eye and the feed. Also, if you are into Adobe products, Adobe Spark is kind of like a Canva version. It's Adobe's version, so you can use that. And then for content ideas, to get inspired, I love my Feedly app. It's Feedly, Feedly app. And they have a website, but it helps me keep all of my blogs coming. You can add all the blogs you want to read, and every morning you can get up, have your coffee, and read all the blogs that you're following, get ideas through that. And then another website called buzzsumo.com also has great ideas to kind of keep you in the moment of what's trending. And then also when I'm thinking about ideas, and sometimes I'm like, gosh, what are other ideas that could go with that? Really good for Instagram, because hashtags are really big in Instagram. Visuwords.com, VISU-words.com. It kind of makes like a little map. You put in one word, and it kind of shoots off little spokes off of that hub of what other words are related to it, but like in a visual way.
That's really fantastic. That's really, really great stuff. All right, that's fantastic. Chelsea, you threw a lot out over here, which is really fantastic. Thank you so much for taking the time and and sharing all this with everybody here. I just really appreciate you taking the opportunity of getting on this show, and
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor. And if you guys are not already, obviously you're already following Michael, but you need to follow him. His Snap is awesome. His Facebook Lives are going to be awesome. This show is great. So everybody should watch him. Everybody should get their yellow Snap glasses out. And they made that emoji with the sunglasses just for Michael Meier. So make sure you use that every time you text him. But thank you guys for having me on. It was a real pleasure.
Thank you very much. Bye, Chelsea.
Bye.